My name is Kelly.
And my name is Will.
We are two Florida attorneys
Who love our 5 dogs.
and 2 cats.
And love listening to true crime.
Mainly me.
So I hope you enjoy our show as we delve into all things spooky.
This is For Crime's Sake. Can you believe we are actually doing this?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and here we are.
Yeah, you know, it's a big project, but it's a pretty cool thing for a number of reasons. One of the big ones for us is, you know, just the importance of shedding light on some of these cases, especially the unsolved ones and some of the lesser known unsolved ones.
And I am obsessed with all things true crime.
Yes, that is true.
So Will and I actually listened to true crime for 9 hours straight when we made the drive from Florida to North Carolina.
Yeah, we had the happy accident once of starting a drive and saying, what about a true crime podcast? And here we are years later, and Kelly's an encyclopedia on the subject.
So Will and I have 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Cats are both very blind, by the way.
They are. But what we decided to do is bring one with us each week while we record and give them some one-on-one time in the studio. And this week we have Hamilton. And Hamilton is an 18-year-old Chihuahua that we rescued about, 2.5 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been about that, I think.
And he is one of our quote-unquote COVID puppies.
Yes, puppy in not the strictest terms. He's super old.
Yes, but he's hilarious and adorable. Very grumpy.
Very grumpy. Very funny. He also has a million names. Kelly and I have a habit with our pets of calling them a lot of different things, but Hamilton is probably king of that.
Oh, yes.
He's Ham, the Hamburglar, Ham Bam, old man, little old baby, and honestly, he responds to all of them.
Oh, yes.
It's incredible.
He does.
That dog knows all 95 of his names.
Yes. And they all suit him.
Yes, they do.
And we posted a picture of Hamilton on our Facebook, Instagram, and our website at forcrimesake.com.
So, Kelly, what's on the docket this week?
So this week I'm going to try to drink more water. I realized that I wasn't nearly drinking enough. So I have really been chugging it the last couple of days.
Honestly, that's like a really important thing, and a lot of people don't realize just how much it can negatively impact you if you don't drink enough water. It can start to mimic dementia symptoms after a certain point. Dehydration can. So it's, especially if you have an elderly person in your life, pay close attention because they may not be drinking enough water, especially if their behavior seems off.
And Will drinks plenty of water. He always has his water in hand. I, on the other hand, definitely need to work on that. So that's one of my goals for this week. What about you?
It's a good goal. This week, we have recently delved into the world of Big Green Egg, which is a charcoal grill, if you're not familiar with it. But it's really cool because you can make like brick oven style pizza in it, which is great. But it takes a little practice. My first go at it wasn't incredible, but I think I made a pretty good improvement between the first time and the last time. And now I'm going to try one more time. Well, not one more time, hopefully a lot more times. But I'm going to try again this week and
to perfect it?
Yeah, see if I can really dial it in this time.
I felt like the first time you did it was like all right. It was a little like I felt like kind of soggy, kind of like mushy a little bit. And then the second time, the crust was definitely like the way you twist it. It definitely got like crustier, which I like. And yeah, it was definitely better the second time.
Yeah, I think leaving the dough out a little longer made a difference. I'm gonna try a couple different things this time, and hopefully the next time we're on here, I'll be talking about how great I am at making pizza on the Big Green Egg.
Well, I'm excited because I definitely benefit from this. So this works. So today's case is the disappearance of Elizabeth Prescott. Sources for this episode are Uncovered.com, Medium.com, and the Panama City News Herald. I chose Elizabeth's disappearance to be our first case because, well, first, it's a Florida case. So one from our home state.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. And this case doesn't seem to get as much attention as some of the other cases. So even though we plan to cover well-known cases, we also want to try to give some of the lesser-known cases the attention that they also deserve.
Yeah, not everything that's in headlines is covering everything that's out there, and it's nice to be able to shine a light where maybe it might not otherwise be.
Yep, and that is my hope for this case today. So our case today takes place in Callaway, Florida. Callaway is in Bay County and is a suburb of Panama City. In 2010, Callaway had a population of 14,450 people.
So not very big.
No. And in our case today, it takes place in 2004. This just goes to show that it's not a super populous city.
Yeah.
And not a bunch of people live there.
So it's kind of a small town.
Yes, very small town feels.
Okay.
The morning of April 30th, 2004 started out like any other morning in the Prescott home. Elizabeth, who goes by Beth, and her husband Coy had been married for about 2 months. So they were newlyweds.
Yeah.
And this morning was like most mornings. Coy woke up, got ready for work, and told his wife that he would call her when he left for work that day. And it seems that according to Coy, this was at Beth's request that he give her a call. So it was Coy's birthday the next day, and him and Beth had plans to go out to dinner that night. And this is super sweet, but Beth wanted to use blue icing to write a 6 on Coy's cake to symbolize his favorite race car driver, Mark Martin.
That is nice.
Very sweet.
That's very, very thoughtful.
And Coy was turning 24, and Beth was 19.
Oh, wow. So they were young.
So young. And Beth was so pretty. And I posted a picture of Beth on our Facebook, Instagram, and website for you guys. They were both really young. And to be married, I cannot even imagine being married that young.
No, I mean, it's that's a lot.
It's a lot now. And
I mean, yeah, right?
in our 30s. I
calls,
can't even imagine.
It calls for a lot of maturity and amazing for them at that age.
So Coy left to head into work at around 5:20 a.m. And boy, that's early to leave for work.
Yeah, it is.
It's earlier. That's definitely way before I even wake up.
Oh my God, the sun's not up. That's
No.
that's so harsh.
So Coy called at 2:30. So he works, does his day at work, and then called at about 2:30 in the afternoon, right when he left work, to let Beth know that he was about an hour away from the house. But Beth didn't answer the phone. So Coy does the drive, but when Coy arrives home at around 3:30 p.m., the apartment was empty, completely empty.
That's very, very scary.
So now, nothing looked out of place or anything. There was a damn towel hanging in the bathroom, and Beth's belongings were still there in their normal spots. And the only thing that Coy noted missing was $50.
Okay, so everything seems pretty much untouched except for $50.
And so Coy didn't panic right away. Maybe Beth went out to grab something from the store. After all, their apartment, which was the Abilene apartment complex, was within walking distance to Walmart. So,
so he's thinking like maybe she just walked to the store real quick.
yeah, and this was not unusual, and it was it was super convenient, the location of this apartment, because neither Beth nor Coy had a car. So Beth would walk over to Walmart and pick stuff up pretty routinely.
Okay, so this would have been within the realm of possibilities.
Yes. And we posted a picture of the complex on our social media and website as well. So when the next morning came and still no sign of Beth, Coy made the decision to call the police. And he filled out a missing persons report.
Okay, but just to clarify, he got home around 3:30 p.m. She wasn't there, and he waited all night.
That's what it seems like.
Before he decided that he was going to go ahead and say, this is weird. Okay. I'm not passing judgment because I have very limited information. I just think that's noteworthy.
Yes. So the police got started searching for Beth immediately. They believed from the onset that something just didn't seem right here. There was no sign of forced entry, though, into the apartment, no sign of a struggle or anything other than her purse and the $50 missing.
So her purse was gone as well?
It looks like a purse may have been gone.
Okay.
That she had taken it with her, maybe with the $50 in it.
Yeah. Okay.
And obviously the clothes she had on her.
Right.
Like that. So what happened to Beth? And did Beth leave voluntarily? And if she had left voluntarily, she only took her purse and the $50. All of her other belongings were still in the apartment.
Interesting. So what I guess were the other belongings things that we think she would have taken for a quick trip? I don't know what else you would take on the way out, like.
Well, I'm assuming if you know you're going to stay the night somewhere, maybe extra clothes.
Okay,
maybe
that's
toothbrush,
fair.
yeah,
Extra
like
clothes, yeah. So I guess
some sort of toiletries.
immediately, if we think if she's planning to spend the night, okay.
Yeah.
So if we're thinking, and I guess that's especially important, just in the context, in my mind, in the context of the fact that Coy didn't call the police until the next morning.
Yes.
And again, I may be way off on him. It's just right. Obviously, that's where my mind goes. So, curious.
So, her case was classified as a missing persons case under suspicious circumstances. So, police speak with Beth's family, her dad, Vincent, and her stepmom, Donna Pagliacetti. And through the conversation with her parents, they hear that Beth has run away in the past, but that she was sure to reach out to her family whenever she has done anything like that, just so they wouldn't worry about her. So this was, even though she might have run away, this was unusual in the sense that they didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, and we may not know, but would she call the family right away? Would she call the family within 24 hours? Would she?
Well, and the thing is honestly, I couldn't find any source that mentioned more about this. Like, my big questions, I actually wrote them down, were like, how long had she run away for? How long, till she reached out to someone? And what was the reason behind her leaving? And those are just things I could not find.
We just don't know. Okay. All right.
But all things I really
Good
wish
questions.
I knew. Yeah. So,
clearly we were thinking the same thing.
So Donna and Vincent also tell police that Beth had been dating and was even engaged to a man named Eric Moore prior to marrying Coy. And it seems that her relationship to Eric ended very close in time to her marrying Coy.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it happened very quickly, it seems. And it was learned that Beth and Eric had remained in contact even following her marriage to Coy.
Okay.
So obviously the next step is police question Eric.
Right.
And Eric was seemingly forthcoming and cooperative with law enforcement. He admitted that he and Beth were in fact having an affair.
Okay.
And after her disappearance, it was learned that Eric returned the ring he had from his engagement to Beth on the same day she disappeared.
Red flag.
Well,
huge red flag.
Right. But police actually believe the ring incident is coincidental.
Do we? So I'm assuming that the suggestion is she gave the ring back at some time prior to her disappearance,
Yes.
and he just happened to take it
yeah.
back that day.
Yes.
Okay, I am going to choose to accept that version of events right now until I know some reason not to.
So this might make you feel a little bit better, maybe. He did take a polygraph test and passed it.
It means next to nothing, but it's not nothing.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's talk about Coy some more.
Okay.
Coy was also cooperative with police, but he did admit that he was suspicious of his wife's relationship with Eric before she disappeared.
Okay.
Investigators believed that they were on the verge, actually, of a breakthrough while interrogating Coy, and that Coy was very close to telling them about what happened to his wife. But then Coy hired an attorney after that conversation.
Oh, okay.
Now, I guess in Coy's defense, it seems as though he is still cooperating, but his attorney's obviously present with him now.
And I want to be clear about my comment that you have the right to an attorney being present during all adversarial stages of a criminal investigation and proceeding. So, yeah, absolutely, he was within his rights, whether he's guilty or innocent. He's presumed innocent. He's allowed to ask for an attorney. But I'm super interested by the fact that law enforcement thought they were about to have a breakthrough with him, and then he lawyered up, and now it's like, okay.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's, it's the smart thing to do, absolutely, because the spouse is always a suspect.
For sure.
And
it's a no-brainer.
Yes. So I get it, but it's always nice to be able to confidently be able to rule out a primary suspect so you can move on to the next one, you know?
So far, with what I know, and maybe you know more, but at least so far, it doesn't feel like we can move on from Coy.
Okay, so he did take a polygraph test, and he passed it as well.
Okay, so, all right, now Coy and Eric's polygraph mean even less than close to nothing.
But I guess the thing is, yeah, I mean, they did feel comfortable enough to take it, and then they did pass.
They weren't, I guess if they weren't showing enough signs of stress that, that it's interesting. It's noteworthy.
Yeah. So let's talk about the investigation. So police had to explore the possibility that Beth left on her own accord. However, when she didn't reach out to any friends or family, they quickly started to think foul play was likely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On May 6th, about a week after her disappearance, police searched her and Coy's apartment. And they found Beth's diaries. So they scoured each diary for any clues, and unfortunately, they found nothing of any use.
So I want to just pause for a second. Is that a week after she's gone that they searched the apartment? Okay.
So close in time, relatively.
And Coy's living there?
Coy, from everything I've seen,
home.
he was still there.
Okay.
Or, I mean, who knows? He could have been staying with friends or family, but I mean, he was
but he had access to
Yes.
it, presumably.
Yes. But if you are an avid, diary, what would you call that? Diary
keeper,
then you would think if there was a lot of tension or something going wrong, it would be in there if you were actually nervous about that or anything like that, like about your safety. But not all homicide obviously happens with a ton of premeditation in the sense, so
fair enough.
If an argument did transpire suddenly and then, something happened, that might not have
it very well
diary.
may not make it there. Yeah, that's fair. No, I want to make note of that time lapse because that could be relevant where Coy is still very much not out of the question as a suspect.
Oh, yeah. And if there had been
That's
something
a lot of
else
time
in there, or if there was a particularly
egregious entry.
Unfavorable, yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, unfavorable is a good word, or unflattering. Yeah,
He could have removed it, something like that.
Could have been noteworthy. Anyway, okay, interesting.
So police searched the heavily wooded area surrounding the apartment complex, but still found no signs of Beth. They brought canines out to help with the search, and ponds in the area were dragged. Still nothing. Not one bit of physical evidence was found. It was like Beth disappeared into thin air.
Nothing. Nothing in the apartment.
Nothing.
Her car was still there, right?
Well, she didn't have one.
She didn't have a car. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
And nothing in the surrounding area. The dogs don't hit on anything.
Not from what I saw.
Dragging the ponds produces nothing. Wow. That's rough.
Lieutenant Jeremy Mathis with the Bay County Sheriff's Office has said, sadly in this case, there was just no evidence or no clue of where she had gone or what happened. 9 months after Beth's disappearance in January 2005, police announced that her disappearance is likely a homicide. No one has heard from her, and her bank accounts and social security numbers has been inactive since the day she went missing.
So it's safe to say she's not out there living her life of her own accord.
No suspects have been named, but no one has been cleared either. So that leaves us to theories.
Because when no one's a suspect,
everyone's a suspect.
Everyone's a suspect.
Yep. So the first theory would be that Beth left voluntarily. So $50 was missing. In my opinion, that kind of leads me to think she went to the store rather than start a whole new life with that. I mean, it's just $50. So, and there were other, she had bank accounts at the time with some money, and I don't know how much, but it looks like some money, and none of that money was touched.
Not to mention she's not using her social security number, which means she's not applying for new bank accounts or credit cards because those things require a social security number. Those would alert people. Not to mention, one thing I was going to note on that, and I can see why that's a sticking point, is she had run away previously, and I know that must stick out as something in favor of that theory. But it sounds like historically when she had done that, she was communicating with family.
Exactly.
So probably, and that I think the fact that she hasn't ever communicated with any of her loved ones, and that she has not used any of her money or her social security number in all of this time, pretty safe bet that unfortunately she is not living or free to act under her own power if she is living.
Yes. No, the thing is, no money was touched other than that $50. No clothes other than the ones she was wearing were gone. It's like she just left. If she left to go to the store, I believe she had every intention of returning or, not being gone very long. So, yeah, it's, for me as well, I don't believe Beth left voluntarily. The next theory is Ivan Ferrer Perdomo. And you're probably wondering, so who is Ivan Ferrer Perdomo?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Because this name seems to pop up out of nowhere. He's a career criminal and actually served time in a Florida prison for murder. And this guy came onto police's radar because fellow inmates said that he had bragged about killing Beth. They claimed that Ivan said it was over drugs, that she had shown up at his place to buy some drugs, and he had killed her. But no physical evidence was ever found to substantiate any of this. And
so it's just, we think this is just more than likely a random guy who decided I'm going to run my mouth and take credit for something that I had no part in.
Because, unfortunately, we live in a world where people make false confessions, for a bunch of horrible and twisted reasons, and I will
it
never understand that.
Yeah, it sounds crazy to you and me and to all of you guys listening, because why on earth would you do that? Weirdly enough, this happens all the time. Like, all the time.
It makes me so angry because it takes resources away from actually finding, like in this case, Beth. And it does a disservice to not just the victims and their families, but to police, honestly, who are trying to do their jobs and find out who really do it. And they have to, if the police if they're investigating properly, they have to follow up on this.
Yeah, because how can you not? But in the meantime, they're actively, you're right, they're actively causing more harm to these people and their families and the cases in general. Yeah, so
I don't see anything to connect this. So without more, like something, I just don't. I'm not going to put too much. Yeah,
and that she had shown up at his place to buy drugs and he killed her. Like, do we have any reason to believe that she was a regular drug user? And I mean, is there anything that substantiates this at all?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything more than this. Yeah.
So it seems like this is he's just making this up.
That's what it seems like. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's unsolved, so
it's
I
always
don't
possible,
know,
but okay.
Next one, random encounter on the way to Walmart. So this would explain why nothing was missing, no sign of a struggle in her apartment, and why, honestly, it's been hard to find the person because they have no connection to Beth whatsoever. It's just random.
And that one is where my mind was going right away when I realized that she could walk to Walmart. I was thinking, okay, she grabs some cash, she walks to Walmart, someone grabs her on the way there. Maybe they think she's got cash. Maybe they know she's got cash. Maybe they just want to do something else nefarious, and that's it. But I guess I would also expect maybe that there be some sign of a struggle in the area, like even if it's just a short area between her apartment and Walmart, is there signs of scraping in the grass,
I think that would be great if that had been the case, but I'm not sure if you're abducted off the road, depending on if it's grass, if it's gravel, whatever it is, that you would necessarily notice a disturbance. I don't know.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just don't know.
We don't know.
That's tough. That's a hard one. Okay.
Next one is Eric Moore, the ex-fiance. So he did return the ring the same day she disappeared, which is one heck of a coincidence.
I mean, oh boy, you gotta love coincidence. But yeah, it's possible that's a coincidence. Mm-hmm. He passed a polygraph.
Yeah.
But come on.
The thing is, that is a weird coincidence, but he did pass a polygraph, and police it looks like they haven't ruled him out, but it doesn't look like they're really zeroing in on him either.
Yeah, I'm going to say no other evidence linking him to it. It's really hard to say he's involved, but I'm also a wild skeptic by nature and by career, and I find it so hard to believe that he just happened to return that ring on the same day she disappeared. If he did do that, that's so unlucky for him, but good Lord.
So the final theory would be that Coy Prescott, her husband, had something to do with her disappearance. The spouse is the most likely suspect. Timeline, and here's another thing. The timeline really depends on his honesty, because everything we know about that day comes from him. When he left, when he called, and when he got home, everything's on his timeline. So if he did something to her the night before,
we would have no way of knowing differently.
And
that's an excellent point that I had not considered.
He admitted to being suspicious about Beth and Eric, his wife,
maybe
possibly
this
cheating.
was
and maybe something happened. I don't know. It's just, no one else, from what I've understood, really are saying this is when he's saying he left and he saw her alive.
So I guess if we're taking the approach, as you and I often do on these unsolved cases, of how far do we go making the fewest possible assumptions? Well, the spouse is the most likely person. That is as far as we can get without making an assumption that the spouse is telling the truth.
But it is interesting, though, because Coy did also pass a polygraph. He has been cooperative from the looks of it, and there was nothing found inside that apartment. So, if something did happen, it doesn't look like he left a lot of physical evidence. So,
but what about law enforcement saying they felt like they were about to have a breakthrough with him until he asked for an attorney?
That's the thing that really stuck out to me as well is, when I'm sure when you've been doing a job for so long and you've done interrogations and you've done this, you get a feeling. You can kind of tell what's, how things are going, and if you're wearing, someone down. Obviously, on the flip side, police do have false confessions, and that is a thing. And so,
if they knew enough to say that he did it, he would be under arrest and charged with the murder. Absolutely. So obviously, they don't have that. But it is hard to pretend that that's not a huge red flag. Also, so I guess for me, that's the most likely suspect at this point.
And her family does believe Coy had something to do with it. And that is probably my...
It makes sense.
Yes.
It's
what I'm leaning towards. Obviously, we don't know.
We don't know.
Innocent. And as I said, he passed a polygraph.
Even if he's arrested and charged, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. This is not a commentary on his guilt. This is a commentary on what the evidence looks like as we have available right now to us. And to me, I'm leaning that way. I'm leaning towards Coy.
So it has been almost 2 decades since Beth Prescott went missing from her apartment in Callaway, Florida. In 2018, the Abilene apartments were destroyed by Hurricane Michael. Beth Prescott went missing on April 30th, 2004. She was 5'2", 110 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Beth has been known to wear contact lenses, which are tinted green. She would be 38 years old today. If you have any information, you can contact Panhandle Crime Stoppers at 1-850-785-TIPS, TIPS, or the Bay County Sheriff's Office at 1-850-747-4700. So how about Hamilton?
He did pretty well, all things considered.
Oh, yes. I thought this could be an absolute disaster.
It honestly could have been. This studio has a lot of carpet.
A lot of carpet.
A lot of foam on the walls.
A lot of possibilities here. So it's a very pleasant surprise.
It was, but he really did well.
So check out the pictures for this case and the pictures of Hamilton on our Facebook, Instagram, and our website at forcrimesake.com.
And please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen.
Thanks, and we will talk to you soon.